dicey deal where Tom's at, but he's there. Look at that prison. Tough time, Tom. He's
the things I shouldn't have done yesterday. What have I done?
Locked up, but dedicated to the show. It is Redemption Thursday. You don't want to miss.
Yeah, I'm inmate number 1374510. Come find me.
If I were home and on my Zoom popped up a call from a state penitentiary and that was you just sitting there waiting for me to answer, I'd be like, that makes sense. Look at him. He is clearly in a prison.
Thankfully, I could clear the issue up. It's the 11th floor of the building I'm in, and you'll see as the brightness adjusts.
Yeah, there it is. Real buildings. All right. It just looked like you were in Attica. Yeah. Oh, boy. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. It was a very popular segment yesterday. I noted some of the metrics there where I commented on the NIL and the debacle that Florida has found themselves in and the numerous articles highlighting the embarrassment that Florida finds themselves in. That, not surprising, made for good, quote-unquote, off-season fodder, Tom. People were ready to watch that video. But I thought it was informative, too, and it was fun to do and interesting to talk about because it's an ever-changing space, if you will, and so we're learning more about it all the time. I did an interview today, and I'll get this out there because this is always fun. I love to find out the perceptions of Florida State from others that aren't necessarily Noles, but people either covering the game of college football, experts, analysts, you name it, fans, and or also fans of rival teams. I always find this interesting to see where they perceive Florida State to be at as opposed to the fan base and us who cover it. And so I was on with Chuck Oliver today, and he said basically, that Mike Norvell is a portal god according to his Gator neighbor. And his Gator neighbor said, well, he's just a one-trick pony, and all he can do is recruit the portal. And the response was, well, Mark McGuire didn't do a lot as a baseball player, but his trick was to hit 487-foot bombs, 70 of them. It's a good trick. It's a hell of a trick. If that's the one trick you got, you'll be employed for a long time. And I think it's true of Norvell for right now. It's like, well, that's a really good trick. I mean, if you get every single player you want in the portal says yes, it's a good trick. You're doing better than most. By the way, the thing that will make you a better high school recruiter is what? Winning games. He won 10 of them a year ago, in large part because of his ability to recruit the portal. Now that he's got 10 wins, if he backs it up, they'll get yeses from high school kids to go along with all those portal successes. Just hang in there. It all ties together. Besides, the landscape is completely changing all the time. And we're learning as we go that it is possible. Plug, play, survive, advance, get better, improve high school. All of it can come together. It's a lot of fun. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. But I thought that was interesting, the perception that people are tired of Mike winning in the portal. Good. Get angry. I want irrational hatred thrown back our way. I've wanted this for a long time. I got a lot of angry Gators yesterday in my inbox. Who the hell are you? You don't know anything about our collective? Son of a bitch. I'm like, yeah, I feel it. Come on with it. Go ahead and hate us. Because when you're hated, and I'm reminded of this, it's been a long time, when you're hated for irrational things and or somebody elevates the level of their distress over an issue, quote unquote, an issue that they are then telling you in the text is a non-issue, you win. I mean, come on. Just made the fool of themselves and spent 15 minutes at 1 o'clock in the morning responding to a clip they saw on YouTube. How great is that? Keep them coming. Come on, baby. Let's go. So it was a good day.
I didn't realize you were up in the comments on YouTube. So you enjoyed, looking at, because if you type in and make sure that Florida is in the title, their fans do see it. So as I was putting that together yesterday, I was kind of snickering, thinking, all right, going to make sure this is tagged to the Florida Gators football account. This will be great.
That's funny. No, I did not look at the comments. I got emails based on the video, and I laughed about that. I thought, oh, that's good. I figured you'd target and chide and poke and have fun with that one. It was an easy one, but it's also informative. I mean, if they really wanted to listen, they would have just nodded their head and said he's right as usual. Damn it. I want to hate him, and I do hate him, but he's not wrong on this one. He nailed it. And that's the way it works. It's the way it works. So we'll see from here. We are efforting, guys. The off season gets to be interesting. Maybe sometime in February, Tom. I know we're working on it right now. I don't want to curse the potential of this, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it'll be a fun conversations with the coaching staff. We're going to try to lay out here over the weeks and months to come. We'll have a good time with it. I want to talk to Mike Norvell. It'll be a fun conversation. In many ways, I think this year's ACC kickoff, fast forward to July, I think it's going to be a lot of fun because last year the conversations were about the potential to be good and the importance of having a better season, the pressure that comes with not having one, regardless of the reasons, and those kinds of conversations. This year, Florida State shifts to being one of the hunted. And the vast majority of people watching college football, regardless of their personal feelings about FSU, would acknowledge that Florida State took huge steps forward this past year and that they are the biggest threat in the ACC to be the new champion. If somebody's going to unseat Clemson, it's going to be Florida State in the eyes of most college football viewers, analysts, fans, and the like. And so you are in some ways going to be hunted. You'll have a ranking right next to your name for that first game against LSU. It will be a lofty ranking at that, which speaks to expectations. And the weight of those expectations will be handled how? We don't know. We'll see. I think this is the group that will handle them well, that will embrace it, that are excited about it because it's the payoff for the hard work already done with more work to do. And that's the key, is not resting on your laurels, but rather understanding that that was one step of many that you're trying to take towards winning a national championship. It's not enough now to be talking about we're better, we're good, let's hope we can win the ACC. I think that you want to be taking steps towards, yes, obviously winning the ACC, but if you win the ACC, you're likely going to the college football playoff. You can have a loss. If you were to lose to LSU, if you were to lose on the road to Clemson, remember next year is the year there are no divisions, reminder for all, you can lose that game and turn right around and still play them if you're the highest ranked team in the ACC. And I think that, in fact, that may very well happen. I'm not assuming a loss on the road at Clemson. I'm saying it's entirely possible, and that if it were to happen, well, hell, even if you win it, there's a chance you're going to play them again. Either way, you look around the rest of the ACC, who's that other team that is going to be in a better position than either Florida State or Clemson? Hard to find one. Don't think people are falling all over themselves to pick North Carolina and in Miami anymore, right? Maybe North Carolina, maybe. They still got to get a stop every once in a while, so we shall see. It would be fun. It's going to be a fun season. This offseason, we'll try to talk to Mike. We'll talk to Alex Atkins. We'll try to talk to Adam Fuller. We got a lot to catch up on. I know we're efforting to do that. So sometimes it's good for me to come in here and give you the lay of the land, where we're at, what we're trying to do. Right now, if you go over to warchant.com, you can see the interviews and all the newcomers that are here. Aswan posted a few hours ago. Story there. You have Ira's story about Keziah Holmes, who, Tom, a lot of times we sort of leave off that list of running backs when we begin talking about who's what and how deep that group is. Patrick Surtain became official. We already had a long conversation about Patrick Surtain and how happy I am that he was hired and that replacement has been made. That will only add to expectations of competence and excellence. So it's a good time right now. Head on over there if you've not seen those interviews, read those stories, warchant.com.
The thing I'd say after all that promoing, and that is so well done. You know what? You should really, folks, give this video a like right underneath it because of all those promos.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about the way the season ended was that you kind of got to see a sneak preview of what Florida State's going to experience in the 2023 season, which is you're not going to get the chance to sneak up on anybody. You had two teams that are basically 500 football teams. They both ended up under 500 for the season in Florida and Oklahoma, going toe-to-toe with you in the trenches and hitting you in the mouth, and you had to respond to that in both of those games. Well, you're going to see that from better football teams next season. You're going to see it from LSU right out the gate. High stakes for them as well. You're going to see it against Clemson. You're going to see it on the road at Pitt. Maybe we in the Jimbo days, we called it the Jimbo special. We never liked it, but there was a talent disparity between Florida State and its opponent, and somehow it's a close game in the fourth. We're arriving to a place now where most games that Florida State plays, there will be a talent disparity, and we're the more talented team. It's been eons since that's been the case, but you're going to be somebody's season. You're going to be most everybody's season when you play them. So I'm glad that they got humbled a little bit in victory against Florida and Oklahoma, because that lesson and that tape will not lie, and it should carry them a little bit better in terms of motivation in the offseason to not read their press clippings. Because if they blew out Florida and they blew out Oklahoma, or they won comfortably, they might not take that lesson so seriously. I think that Mike Norvell has a ton of ammunition to say, guys, those are barely bowl-eligible teams, and we're in a dogfight into the fourth quarter. You're not as good as you think you are unless you work hard enough to get to the next place.
It's easy. It's so easy, man. Just throw on the tape and tell them, look, here are the good teams you played last year. LSU, you won by a point on a blocked extra point. Congratulations. That's a good win. But it was a close game, obviously. So there you go. There's that one. Wake Forest, you got kind of dominated for much of that football game. I understand that late there's an opportunity if a certain DB can come down with an interception. That's all well and good. The terms were dictated by Wake Forest from Jump Street in that football game, and that was in our backyard. So you lost that game. You gave up a lot of points. The offense wasn't good in that game. So you played two good teams. You have a 1-point win, and you have a loss. You played on the road against NC State. You didn't turn out to be a real good team, and you lost to that team despite knocking their starting quarterback out of the game. Not good. Not good. You lost to Clemson, who was easily gettable this year, as we saw. They had perhaps their best offensive performance of the season against you. Not good. You lost that game. That game was also at home. That's 3. And then you played, we'll combine two teams to call them in total one good one, and that is Florida and Oklahoma. And you had to hold on to your butts in a home game against Florida, who has 6 losses, and that Oklahoma team had 6 as well, now 7, because you did get the win. So there's just no reason to walk in and expect that anybody is going to bow down or that they think of you as a dominant program. You're not there yet. You took a step forward to that end. But now's the time to go out and kick down the door and go ahead and prove it. I don't know, somewhere between 12-0 and 8-4, right? You have the max and the worst case. Would we say worst case scenario for Florida State? Unlike last year where I predicted best case scenario and I was wrong, but worst case scenario is 8-4 for Florida State. Would we agree the floor is 8-4?
Yeah, and that's if you lose a lot of players to injury. I don't think that they can go 8-4 if they have good injury luck next year. I just don't know if you could find 4 losses. You can find 3. 4 is going to be tough because that ACC slate. Yes.
LSU, Clemson, Florida would be 3 of them, and then you just have to fall to somebody on the road that, maybe Pitt or something like that. Maybe.
And that would be losing every single game that's within the realm of close when it comes to talent disparity. Like, that would be really, really tough to do.
It'd be a disappointing season.
It would be. Now, if you lose Jordan, again, we feel better about Tate, but if you lose Jordan, 8-4 is, in the realm of possibility. But the thing that I like about this group is if he doesn't get hurt, and he's doing a much better job of avoiding contact and taking needless hits. But we learned last year when we thought that this offensive line was a little thin, just a little thin, that they could absorb 2 major injuries and still win 10 games out of 13.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. It's a fascinating discussion about floors and ceilings. It's always fun to get into these. And I am kind of curious. I would think the vast majority of the fan base believes worst case scenario, injury-riddled club, the whole deal is 8-4. Well, that's already a dramatic turnaround from a year ago. That is a lot different than our expectations were coming into last season. Best case scenario, I think most Florida State fans would tell you best case scenario is they go undefeated.
Yeah. I think if you win that opener, undefeated looks real juicy, like including the ACC championship, because at that point they'll have proven it to themselves again that they can go to another level. This LSU team is going to be far better than the one that they played last year. So
yes, they already were. Year went on, yeah.
Yeah, and if you can beat them in Orlando, I mean, it'll be, I still think, pretty close to 50-50 because that fan base will travel like crazy for that football game. If you can handle business against them, you're going to know what you're capable of. And then there's going to be that extra, I think, intimidation factor about when you arrive somewhere else or even when you go to Clemson. it's going to be a different feeling in the stands. They're going to go, oh no, Florida State's arrived. They're back. That changes dynamics. For the last 5 or 6 years, anytime Clemson and Florida State lined up on the same field, it was, does Clemson care enough to blow us out? Last year, maybe the exception. Other than that, that's the way it's felt.
Everybody wants us to engage in W's and L's, and I'm not going to do it today. First of all, that's too big a deal on the show for us to just willy-nilly. Although we have willy-nilly in the past, we're not willy-nilly today, guys. It's Redemption Thursday. Let it have its own day, damn it. Now, secondly, I would tell you this. We can't really do W's and L until we know the order of the games and the times and the whole deal. Now, I know we know who we play. We play LSU, Southern Miss, Northern Alabama, Florida, Boston College, Clemson, Miami, Syracuse, Wake, Duke, Virginia Tech, and Pitt. Those are the teams we play next year, guaranteed. The order of those games, the times of those games, you know it and I know it. We all do. They all matter. Where they sit on the schedule after this game, and this one's played after this one, and does it really require an awful lot of emotion for you to play these two back-to-back? Or is it likely that you're going to be able to, skip out on a tough road contest at night as opposed to a nooner? All these things weigh into your decision-making when you're doing W's and L's, guys. So we're not going to give you a little W's and L's for that ass today. No, sir.
No, the first thing that happens when the schedule comes out and the ACC releases it the night of the 30th of this month, that's a Monday. So the first logical place we could do it is that Wednesday, February 1st. First thing I do, though, when I see that schedule, I take a look at what other college football games are being played where when we have our bye week. Mm-hmm. Then I consider the W's and L's. I always want to see, when we're off, is anything cool happening that I can drive to or fly to? So that'll be the first exercise. But I submit this. We'll talk about it in closed council meetings for the JCS. But Wednesday, February 1st is the first show after the ACC releases their football schedule.
How exciting is that, buddy? So the ACC will be releasing that football schedule in a very short period of time. Today is the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. That is correct. It is the 19th. Woo-hoo-hoo. So here we go, buddy. I'm such a sap. I'll be 90 if I make it that far and be giddy about the schedule release. Woo. And I wonder if anybody does this. If you're 90 and you're listening to me, first of all, good on you. You still got great taste. Secondly, if you are 90 and you're listening to me, do you get excited about future schedules? I'm curious when that stops. When do you, these days, schedules come out all the time, and I'm like, boy, that 2024 is going to be sweet. Can't wait for that 2028 matchup against Tulane, whatever it might be, right? But at what age did you reach where you went, I'm looking forward to next Saturday? When did that happen? And I'm just kind of curious. You guys can hit me up in the chat. You can always email, whatever it might be. Just curious when you start looking too far in the future. Like right now, I plan trips for my family all the time. Last year we went skiing in Montana. I told you all about that. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. I've got some trips planned here coming up. One of them, Tom, is to New York. But anyhow, the point would be, as I'm planning these things, sometimes I'm looking a year, 2, even 3 years ahead with the family. I wonder when I stop doing that. I wonder, I get 74. I'm like, well, I want to plan something for when I'm 77. Don't know if I'll make it.
If they interacted in the chat, that in of itself would be really impressive at 90 plus years. Right? Yes. And then the second thing I'd say is, the cutoff. What we want to know is the cutoff. I would assume, even if you're 90 plus, LSU in September is something that you are absolutely looking forward to. College football playoff, if we make it, is that too far? Is it next year's season opener? Where is that cutoff?
Yeah, I want to know. I think it's interesting. I'm getting old. I want to know, when do you stop? When do you start thinking about, can we make it to Friday? I'm looking for a tasty cold beer on Friday. Can I make it to Friday? I really want that beer. Don't die on Wednesday. Let's get to that Friday, and so we can sit back and have a good day.
When did we change frequency? I saw a note that said that send all typewritten letters, which is funny, to 93.9 studio. When did we change frequency?
93.3, everybody. Oh, they're used to angry stuff. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse?
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, no, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods. But the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it. And join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
Hey, everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest.
I have thrown out another golf lineup. I don't like this week, despite my expertise in this realm. They're playing 3 different damn golf courses. It's bizarre. It's a pro-am. It's hard to get a feel for who's going to play well. I will tell you that one of the guys that always plays well in pro-ams, and the reason for this is because he plays exceptionally slow anyhow, and pro-ams tend to slow everything down. And so I would just tell you that Jason Day tends to play pretty well in these things because he's the slowest player on earth, and he doesn't mind that it's taking up all damn day to finish a round. So they're little things like that. It's kind of what you got to know. Dave, I agree. I look at the schedule, then check hotel availability and all that other good stuff. Is my mic messed up again? Good God, man, all the time with this. We've got people concerned that my mic is overmodulated. I don't know. There's more than one guy in here. Tom, do I sound all right to you?
You sound luscious, just outstanding. I'm hoping that the siren that has been going on for the last 5-6 minutes is not okay. Good. We got some new arrivals apparently. So yeah, that's what's happening in the background. It sounds a little bit, blotchy, but it's not unlistenable by any stretch because it's you, buddy.
Well, I can only do so much to save these fallible mics. I try with these dulcet tones to do what I can, but the mic is the mic. By the way, if you're really wondering, here's an example of why you can't possibly know who to pick here. Your leaderboard is Dean Burmeister, Peter Malinati, MJ Dalfo, and Aaron Baddeley. Code for these guys suck and have no chance to win the tournament.
Aaron Baddeley?
Yeah, he's still playing golf. And he happens to be atop the leaderboard at the Amex. Hey, everybody, welcome in.
Did he take a break from Square Shoes commercials and the chipping iron that you can actually use to both ways? It's like a lefty and a righty chipping iron.
Do you think professional anybody's, but let's say in this case golfers, know that the time is up for them when Squares calls them? Like Squares is on the horn with your agent, and they're like, they're looking at you as a prime candidate. Listen, we wanted to talk to Brendan Todd about Squares. We were wondering if he would be in. Does Brendan Todd go, oh, well, come on, man. I won 2 tournaments 3 years ago. I'm not that far removed from mattering.
So I think it would be phenomenal if the video game PGA 2K3, which offers you all kinds of contracts, when you miss multiple cuts for the first time in your personal career, Squares is what pops up on your player's thing, and it says, Squares would like to have you push their shoes.
Oh,
are you prepared to quit the game? And then yes.
Numbers stayed relatively stable overnight. Jags plus 8.5, Giants plus 7.5. That's the juiciest of the numbers for me. Bengals plus 5. Interesting. Cowboys plus 3.5. Here's a fun game we're going to play. A friend of mine is in a big-time pool. It is an elimination pool. He has made it to this point. You have to pick 2 teams to move on from the weekend that is coming up, but you can't use them again. Ultimately, you have to figure out, the importance now of winning this week as opposed to winning the whole contest. You're down to the nitty-gritty, and thousands of dollars are on the line. So this is fun. Is there a team you think you can take a risk on? It's against the spread. It's against the spread. It's not just winners. It's against the spread. So I'm going to ask you now to look at those games, and let's do this together, all right? Because I think it's fun. Jags, Chiefs, Giants, Eagles.
Oh,
you're going to take the Chiefs? You can't use them again?
Oh, no. That's not one of my 2. I thought we were going game by game. Forgive me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I'm giving you all the games, and I want you to pick 2 teams to survive. Can't use them again next week. Cannot use them again next week. So it's tough here, but you're getting it out. Again, we're down to a few games. There aren't that many games left, and you've got to survive in order to win. But I think I would steer clear of the Eagles, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Giants would be one of my picks. I could tell you without even looking at the spreads. Yeah.
It's 7.5.
Because I wouldn't use them next week anyway. So that's why I would consider it a freebie.
You like San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl? You do?
Yeah.
Out of the NFC. Yeah. The hard part here is, who do you like out of the AFC to go to the Super Bowl? I mean, this is tough. Those 3 are a big 3 indeed. Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, all 3 of those teams could win the Super Bowl.
They could. Cincinnati's offensive line issues give me pause there. Buffalo's recent inconsistency give me pause with them. So by elimination, I think Kansas City is the team I'd pick. So you've got a rematch from whatever that was a few Super Bowls back, three years ago.
Game that Kansas City was down for 3.5 quarters, and San Francisco had nearly won. But I got to take two teams this weekend, so I think I'd take the Giants plus 7.5 because I wouldn't take them next week, and I do think they cover that number. And then I think I'd take. Oh man, I'm probably taking I can't take them the next week. What am I going to do here?
The Bills' number is what?
5. It's too much.
Still, like if you're taking Kansas City, would you take Kansas City to come out of the AFC?
I do feel like it's a toss-up. I really do. Oh man, this is a fun game. See, this is a fun game. Can I bet that San Francisco can't win the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback? Right? Don't we think that at some point that kid's going to cost you the whole kit and caboodle?
Yeah, it feels pretty clearly like Philadelphia has to come back to form from earlier in the season in order for there to be a doubt about the AFC winning the Super Bowl this year. Like if Philadelphia doesn't return to form, the AFC representative is the clear and obvious favorite to win the Super Bowl.
By the way, this game is equally fun for non-bettors. How about this? No lines. Just pick your two winners. Can't use them again. No lines. Don't worry about the line. So but again, remember, if you pick them this week, you can't pick them next.
Yeah. I'd stick with Buffalo because I don't think they're going to win the AFC Championship, and I'd stick with the Giants. I'd rather play that than San Francisco. Isn't that interesting?
You like the Giants to win straight up?
I do. Yeah.
What a fun time, man. It speaks very highly. When I was playing the game in my head, it speaks very highly of the playoffs that we have. And you talked about this the other day when we were talking, like just the matchups and how the NFL's got to be beside themselves happy with what they have. I mean, anytime Dallas moves into the second round of the playoffs, they're happy. But you have legendary teams. Kansas City is a legendary market, been around since the dawn of football. Obviously, Buffalo is an incredible story. Passionate fans in the state of New York love the Bills. The Bills are a high-profile, fun team for people to embrace, too. They're a fun team. They got good players, interesting players, an interesting storyline, a really good coach. The Jags, the country's not thinking about the Jags, but could you have a bigger underdog going up against the Goliath than the Jags flying out to Kansas City to try to pull this upset? And why do I get a sense they're going to play well? I just do. I think they're going to play well. Probably because it wouldn't make any sense, but the playoffs often don't make any sense. You're just sitting around going, ah!
Well, if they play good, solid football in the first half of that game, and let's say it's a one-score game at the break, everybody's going to look around to their friends at halftime and go, well, they could do this. They don't look like crap.
It's a fun thing. I can't wait for these games. I'm giddy about these games. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
A 64-year-old woman is in custody and charged with second-degree murder. On January 3rd, police responded to a shooting call on Inlet Street in Quincy where they found 76-year-old Hollis Card with a gunshot wound in his back from a pellet rifle. He later died from his injuries. The incident started as a family dispute. Copeland was arrested Wednesday morning and is being held in the Gadsden County Jail without bond. One Thomasville church is out of approximately $53,000 after officials discovered its secretary was using funds for personal purchases. Debbie Wharton Howell of Celebration Church was arrested at the beginning of January. This is after the church's pastor discovered inconsistencies in credit card purchases. Investigators say they began communicating with the church after that discovery. A deeper dive into the church's finances uncovered nearly a decade of doctored paperwork and hundreds of unauthorized purchases. Howell has since been released and has written an apology letter to the church. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Daytime highs approaching 78. Winds out of the southwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows level off around 50. Mainly sunny skies and calm tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 69. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 77.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF. Your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse?
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
No, there's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity.
It's all in vogue to argue about this. Doesn't it seem to you that the best possible landing spot for Tom Brady is San Francisco? Like, where people have talked about the Raiders. No, not go to the Raiders. Go to San Francisco. You have the best coach in football. You have a running game, an elite, if not the best tight end, second best tight end. You've got a loaded defense. You've got a running game. You've got it made. Why would you not go to San Francisco? He's from California. If you've got 1 year to go try to win it all, put that guy in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Kyle Shanahan's winning games and scoring points with bums at quarterback. Bums. The lot of them. Bums. You gave him Tom Brady with time? We just saw the man a year ago throw for over 5,000 yards. If he's protected and doesn't have to move around, 1 year to win it all in San Fran, that seems obvious to me. Doesn't it seem obvious to you?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the play if they're not interested in what they have with their young quarterbacks. If they like these young quarterbacks, if Purdy continues to play well in the playoffs.
Trey Lance at this point, I'm not. And Purdy, okay.
Well, what they could be betting on is the financial flexibility that a Kyle Shanahan level adequate quarterback. Like, I know I can win with this guy, and if I don't go get Tom, then I've got two things. I've got a good football team for 5 years, not one, and I've also got an extra $10 to $15 million above and beyond to work with under the cap to go get us better elsewhere. I think this is a grand experiment with Purdy this particular playoff. If they like him, they can unload Lance for more assets, But I think he's getting an honest shot to be their quarterback moving forward, and it's chapter 2 this weekend.
If Shanahan wins the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, he should take his pants off at the ceremony. He should take his pants off and say, do you guys realize how much better I am than all of you? I just won the Super Bowl with this bum, Brock Purdy. He sucked in college. Watch Iowa State play. They were terrible. What in the hell? That is stunning if that happens. Now, I understand it's professional football. It's a different game, and the young man is playing well. I don't know him from Adam. I'm sure he's a wonderful kid. It's not personal, but come on, man. He's that pick for a reason. He's the last pick in the draft. Nobody thought he was any good because the tape said he wasn't any good.
Well, but that's also, there's symmetry here between the guy that you would replace him with and perhaps what he could be. Tom was never that guy until he was. And the thing I'd say, too, is we didn't think that Justin Herbert was worthy of a number 1 or first-round pick, I should say, because of his mediocrity to above-average play at Oregon. But as we found out over time, that's more about Willie and Mario than it was about Herbert. And maybe it's a Matt Campbell issue in retrospect to go,
that is fair. Matt Campbell is boring as all hell, despite being lauded as some sort of genius. They're steady losing 6 games. He's like, oh, well, I'm a genius. It could be a Matt Campbell issue, but if they lose, and one of the reasons they lose is that the quarterback doesn't make enough plays, and you've got this nucleus on defense, and you've got that running back, those receivers, and that tight end, with that offensive line, where all you're missing is a very high-level quarterback play, plus-level quarterback play. And Brady says, look, I'll come for next to no money, whatever the minimum is that I can make as a 47-year veteran. Whatever that is, I will take that and come out to California, come back to my home state to try to win a Super Bowl with San Francisco. If he said, and he probably would, if he even wants to play.
I think he wants to play. The other thing I'd say is I love that as a value bet on a Redemption Thursday because the futures are out for Tom Brady's next location, and it's the Bucs and the Raiders that are the 2 clear favorites.
I don't know why Raiders.
But here's the thing. If you're going to bet the 49ers, which they're 3rd on the list, not that far behind the Bucs and the Raiders.
Is Miami? Oh, Miami's not on that list at all?
They're up there, but the 49ers are team 3. And it goes Buccaneers, Raiders, and then 49ers. What you need as a San Francisco bettor, if you're going to take it at 3.5 to 1, is Dallas to win this weekend 30-17, and Purdy throws 2 picks because then you jump from 3rd position to 1st position.
If they lose and it's because the quarterback doesn't make enough plays and they have this window and he wants to play, I think it's a no-brainer. I do. I don't know if they seek now, not being in the building and not watching that guy every day at practice, it does make it harder. I don't know how he looks in practice, and I don't know how Trey Lance looks. What little we've seen of Trey Lance, you're like, Trey Lance looks like a guy who hasn't played a lot of football, and that's an accurate statement, which means how long are we waiting on Trey Lance? Because every year we have to wait on that dude to get up to speed. I lose another year of Kittle, another year of Ayuk, all these studs that I have that aren't getting any younger, and we have a window, and I've got this genius coach. Here we go. Go get me Tom Brady. We're rolling.
Yeah, I think if Brady had his pick of any destination, it would be going home and playing for San Francisco. But I think the Vegas thing just fits awfully well if San Francisco is a square peg in a round hole because you've got a desperate head coach who doesn't have time to groom a young quarterback and somebody that works seamlessly with Tom Brady, Devontae Adams, and they could go re-sign the running back, and you're off to a really good start. The only problem is you've got the AFC in that division. So, if Tom wants to go there because of the fit and the explosiveness of the offense, well, how the hell are you going to get to the Super Bowl out of that conference? The NFC should be the priority, but the best fit might, at the end, actually still be Las Vegas, and that's where he goes. So we'll see.
Side note, and it's worth pointing this out, Leftwich was fired today, and I'm not discounting the idea of Tom Brady coming back to Tampa if that offensive line is healthy. If you get your Pro Bowlers back on the offensive line and you can make sure that he's upright, they're actually going to be a good team next year. They couldn't block anybody this year. As duly noted, they couldn't block anybody. They were last in the league in rushing the football. He had the most pass attempts because of that stat. That is the opposite of what they were the year before. It is the opposite of what they were 2 years prior to that. This experiment has gone exceptionally well. That last loss, obviously, rings in everybody's mind right now, but the Bucs still have a lot of talent. Obviously, they just couldn't block.
Yeah, if he comes back, Brady, I'm speaking of, then they're the favorite to win the South again. And if you're talking about if Brady's interested in path to a title, you want San Francisco, and then the next best fit is probably Tampa Bay. It is probably the next one because in the draft, you go get another, as I'm getting a Bluetooth. That's amazing how this technology works. But you get another blocker in the draft. You need another pass rusher in the draft. And if you can handle both of those things, you're in business.
I think they can. I think they will. If he wants to come back, if they protect him, that's actually interesting. They didn't at all this year, and it was a nightmare. Let's not forget, and we will never know the answer to this. And I don't, listen, I'm not one of the, just because I'm a Bucs fan and because the Bucs won the Super Bowl with him, I'm not the guy that sits around here praising Brady in a way that's irrational. I'm not a sycophant. I don't really care one way or the other. He annoys me in a lot of ways. But I do like winning football games, and it was great to win back-to-back division titles. It was great to win a Super Bowl. A lot of things that all these fan bases that like to rag on the Bucs are starving for that we possess continually. That's fine. But he wasn't great this year at times either. Now, what I don't know is how much did missing all those workouts and all those practices in the offseason, all the way through camp, going through an ugly divorce, having a minor shoulder issue, coupled with not being able to run the ball at all, is what led to those kinds of uneven performances. It stands to reason that all of those would have a huge impact on the season he had. Arm strength is not a question. 5 years ago it was. It's not now. You saw the Manning cast, that throw to the far side of the field where he doesn't get his lower body into it to Evans on a laser. Not many guys make that throw. So that's not the question.
No, I'd say the question with him is he just misses a lot of open dudes, and you don't understand how or why. And some of it is on the read. I just wonder, somebody will write a book about this if they can get the access. To me, the thing I want to see and hear about is when we're going back to this particular training camp and then him taking all those days off during the season. What kind of work habits did they actually have in getting on the same page? Because too often this year, they look like they hadn't practiced together at all, and that would have to change.
Well, yes. Are we rededicated now that our divorce is in our rear view? And are the Bucs healthy up front? It's not just that. And this is the point, Live Spectator. I know you're talking about they need more. Remember, it wasn't one offensive lineman. They lost a Pro Bowl center, and for stretches, they lost 3 starters along the offensive line in any given weekend. They were to their 3rd and 4th string in a couple of games this year. Guys that you'd never heard of having to start. That's why it looked as bad as it did. Those weren't their guys. Now, you did have a guy just up and retire after a Pro Bowl season, and that'll hurt your feelings, but it did happen. So I think if they can obviously shore that up, and it's a priority, and why would it not be if he comes back? Also, to answer this question, Michael, he can't move. Mitchell, he can't move. He's never been able to move. He couldn't move 2 years ago. They went 13-4, and he threw for 5,000 yards. They came within an overtime game of beating the Rams and going to the Super Bowl. I mean, they won it prior to that. He couldn't move then. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you protect him.
Well, and he was also deeply affected by the consistent pressure this year. I've never seen him flush and look panicky as often as he did this particular season.
Yeah, he absolutely was lost. He struggled. I think it all added up. I think the first half of the season, you can blame him for missing a ton of time and missing those practices. And hey, look, I get it. You're prioritizing your personal life, your family, and all those things, but it has a direct impact on your work life. That's in any field, but that's especially true when timing is all important. And then the passing game in the NFL, timing is hugely important. You begin to lose offensive linemen, then you're not at practice to work with the dudes that are replacing those offensive linemen. And you get into a game And all of a sudden, it seems faster to you because you can't move, as pointed out, and you don't have a rhythm with your guys. It's going to take, it's going to take time, and it wasn't time he was willing to put in.
Yeah, and he had so many rest days during the season. And I don't know if that was because he dinged up his shoulder or for whatever reason, but any analyst who we respect as a former quarterback or offensive coach would say something very similar to, if not verbatim, he and Mike Evans just don't appear to be on the same page. And it's just like, how the hell is that possible that Gronk can come out of retirement off the street, show up once he's in football shape? He and Brady know where each other are. How is it that Brady and Evans are not on the same damn page and everybody can see it? All the people that we respect as people who understand all 22 film and football.
I don't know if he comes back or not. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not going to lose sleep. If we need to move on, we need to move on. The experiment worked. It couldn't have worked any better. It all worked out just fine. I'll take that Super Bowl with me, and we'll watch the rebuild. This is what happens. You build up, you win a championship. Maybe you win more than one if you're lucky. Very few franchises are fortunate enough to do what the obviously what he did with New England, year in and year out being in contention. But, most teams have these kinds of great runs, and then they fall off, and they have to build back up. So we shall see. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. What's up, guys? Our next partner that you're going to hear from is Athletic Greens. You've heard me talk about Athletic Greens in the past. Happy to talk about them again. I take Athletic Greens every day, and I gave them a try because certainly I wanted more energy, sustained energy. I wanted to support my immune system. I don't like taking pills and vitamins per se, and I wanted something that tasted good too. And the first time I tried it, I was very surprised. It had an appreciable effect on my energy levels. And also, over time, you'll note that it helps your skin, your hair, your nails. I don't have a lot of hair, but if I did, I bet I could feel that. I bet I could tell. It's a comprehensive health habit, and it is a powerful one at that. AG1 is great for recovery. That's Athletic Greens. And I take mine basically when I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry about it because you get all the nutrients that you want. It's the best way to ensure that you're going to get all of your vitamins. It's a carbon-neutral business, by the way, if that's important to you. It is to a lot of people, and that's good to know as well. I would also note that it is a comprehensive solution to what you need from a supplement routine. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs right now with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JCS. Helps me out, guys, if you use that. Not financially, but it lets them know that you heard this ad on my show. And I do take it, and I am vouching for them because I enjoy their product. It's athleticgreens.com/JCS. Check it out. I think you'll note the difference in your life with a simple drink each and every morning to start your day. athleticgreens.com/JCS.
Pest, or the structure of your biggest investment, from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show, now in Tallahassee, afternoon drives from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go. Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM. WVFT.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Tampa Bay Lightning have won 5 straight and 8 of 10. They're the $1.15 road favorite today at Edmonton -105. The Oilers have won 4 straight games, 6.5 over the total at Rogers Place. College basketball yesterday, it's Texas A&M with a win over Florida 54-52, but the Gators did cover as 3.5-point road underdogs. NFL on Saturday afternoon, Chiefs laying 8.5 at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a total 53. Kansas City 6-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 7 meetings with Jacksonville. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
If you like burritos, which you do because everyone does, you should try Taco Bell's Chipotle Ranch and Salsa Verde grilled chicken burritos. These masterpieces start with a warm flour tortilla that we stuff with grilled chicken. But the real stars here are the bold sauces, Chipotle Ranch or Salsa Verde. In fact, the chicken is the stage upon which these sauces shine. Like this mic is a stage for me to spotlight my theatrical range. 2 chicken burritos, 2 bold flavors, $2 each. Order on the Taco Bell app. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for limited time only. Contact local store for prices, hours, and participation which vary. Tax extra while supplies last.
From Brent Musburger, and this is Take One, and away we go.
The best way to start betting smarter is to sign up for a free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. Plus, when you sign up today, you'll automatically be entered to win a free VSiN Pro annual subscription, a $240 value. Sign up for your free VSiN subscription today at vsin.com/subscribe.
And that's a wrap.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise.
I'm Andy Cohen with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me at 850-671-FARM.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready.
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Patty and Scott. Everybody knows Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
Now go call Seminole Glass. They'll get on the road and get it done fast.
Your local family-owned glass company, serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. At Seminole Auto Glass, we care about your safety. Insurance will send you wherever it benefits them, not the quality of service. There's a difference in auto glass companies. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass.
They handle any kind of broken glass, and you know who they are.
Better call Seminole.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real
appreciated. Especially those that drive around and listen to us while working hard, man. See you guys out there. It's always fun. I've talked to many a mailman or UPS driver or whatever that listens to the show. I appreciate that. That's always cool, and we appreciate you. I've said before, I think if I didn't do this, I don't know, a number of things I'd like to do, but maybe at this stage of my life, Tom, driving around a UPS truck wouldn't be so bad. You don't really have to deal with, fleetingly you do. You don't have to deal with that many people. You can just kind of be in your own space, doing your thing, driving, dropping stuff off, on to the next.
Yeah, you get in good shape too, man. Lifting all that stuff. You'd be able to pick up an awkward box that's 65 pounds and dense, and you could just run it across the front lawn, drop it off. You could even time yourself if you wanted to get a workout in.
I was going to say you could do things to break up the monotony, because I think you would have to. I mean, obviously you'd listen to the Jeff Cameron show, but you'd listen to podcasts, you do things like that. But then as far as the day-to-day, like I'm dropping off the package. Here we go. Got to drop off this package at JCPenney. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to drop off this package. Hey, how about I see how fast I can drop off this package Wednesdays at noon? Woo!
There you go. Speedy Gonzalez. That's right.
Yeah, you can have some fun with it. By the way, I see the look on your face. You think dropping off the package is sexual innuendo.
No, it's just the repeated use of it. The repeated use of it, unabashedly so, caught my ear. After about the third one, I thought, all right, I see it. I see you working.
I wasn't. No, see, I like that you assume that of me, but that's not what I was doing. I was literally thinking about running around, dropping off the package. Even now, saying it sounds crazy. But hey, I'm gonna do the promotion thing again, just because there's a lot of catching up to do. Last hour I brought it up with the newcomers and the articles that we have and the videos that we have at warchant.com for all the new players. And you and I have not specifically spoken of Gilbert Edmond. How excited were you the more you delved into that? Because I'm going to tell you, I got very excited about Gilbert Edmond.
I am cautiously optimistic. I want to see him and see how he interacts with Florida State's tackles in spring camp. But that rotation needed help. It wasn't just that Jared Verse had to come back and was a critical piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the drop-off was fairly significant when Jared was not on the field. Patrick Payton would be that guy who could flash 2 or 3 times in a game, and he shows good instincts, and he's got to get in the gym. So that's one guy. McClendon, I thought, was going to have a more explosive season. I'm looking forward to seeing what another year of development does for him. But you got to have multiple guys who can make a difference, and then also somebody who can stand up to the run. Like, my thought is, if Edmond could be the Keir Thomas to Jared Verse being Jermaine Johnson, along with this defensive interior, you've got yourself the makings of a group that can get you off the field when you have to get off the field. And I think that's one of the things that's missing that could take Florida State from a playoff contender to a national championship contender. So you got to have that depth. It's not just about your frontline players.
Well, I bring it up because as we talk about the defensive end position, I couldn't help but notice today that Lamont Green Jr. is listed on the roster as 6'3", 206 pounds. Now, he mentioned that he's going to, give it his all in the weight room and work with Coach Storms, and he called those workouts, quote, brutal, but he knows it's going to help him. Were you a little disappointed by that weight? Because I'm not going to lie, I was.
I think the frame is there. I'm not going to pretend to be Jimbo, who was excellent at this and projecting what guys could turn into. And this coaching staff has done a pretty good job, especially in the portal, of seeing what, like 20-year-olds could become. But, that's a lot of eating between now and when he's going to see the field in games that matter. But this is also why high school recruiting, when you're not Alabama or Georgia, is about development and projection a little bit. There will be a time, I think, you win double-digit games plus again this year, especially in the regular season. You'll bring in 5 guys next year at minimum who in spring camp or their first camp on campus, you say, that's it. That's what we're trying to get to. Right now, you're still kind of in betwixt.
Yeah, and he could very well end up being a great player, and I'm excited that we got him. I'm not trying to gloss over what he's potentially going to be, and I understand that freshmen come in and they're not always ready to play, and that's not abnormal. Even if they're elite level players, it's not abnormal. But 206 for a defensive end, you're like, ooh, we're going to have to get a lot bigger, not a little bigger, a lot bigger, like 45 pounds bigger soon. Maybe he can.
If he's a speed guy for you or a stand-up guy off the edge, I mean, he can do it at 225 or 235 in college and be effective. But, I mean, you got to get to 225 or 235 before you can evaluate what he actually brings to the table against a good Power 5 offensive line. But, again, some of these guys that you bring in are 2-year projects, and that's okay because he's shown that he does the hard part well, which is move quickly in short areas.
It is a fun assignment to be 206 pounds, needing to be 236 pounds. What a cool deal. I would love to do that again. I was trying to get to be 215 my senior year in high school before I went away to ETSU. I was trying to get to 215, 220, and I worked at the Don Cesar's ice cream shop there. I've talked about this before. We all know that there was a certain video Miss Pac-Man machine that was short some quarters. But that said,
you should be in here. You should be in here for that.
It was a dedication to work. I had to pay the toll. So that's what that was. And that lady who fired me for it, on a hunch, she couldn't prove anything, didn't recognize the seriousness with which I took work and the need to get to work. That said, I made giant shakes, chocolate, peanut butter, ice cream, bananas, strawberries, threw in some more ice cream and whipped cream and fudge. And I made these huge shakes every day that I was there. That's what you should have fired me for. I used so much product while I was there. It was crazy. I would drink 2 or 3 of those every day just to try to gain 2 or 3 pounds in a month. I was just plowing through those things. If I look at an ice cream sundae now, I'm 250. It is absurd. It's the dumbest thing ever. I have one bad week. I get kicked in the cojones. I'm 227 right now. I want to be 215 by the end of February, and I can't get there if I have one sandwich. One. It's amazing. And I would be 260 if I didn't go to Orange Theory. So Tom, he's got the greatest assignment in the world. I hope you enjoy this, Lamont Green Jr. I hope you take this time to say, oh, this is going to be a good life for the next year and a half. Yeah, you got to do the lifting. And that part of it can be tough. Those workouts aren't easy, but those are kind of fun. Workouts aren't all that torturous if you're excited to be a good football player. That's just part of the process. The eating is the thing you've got to embrace.
My 2 nephews, between the 2 of them, and they're 14 and 16, I think they've put on, in terms of height, over a foot in the last year and a half. They've had their string bean spurts, and now that's what they look like, string bean young men. But when I play online video games with them from Atlanta and Palm Harbor, I don't think I hear them not chewing on something when they're talking to me. It's an hour and a half. And so, I'll say, hey, go get that guy over there. Or they'll say, hey, you got a bad guy behind you. And you're so far behind you. And then they stop playing for 30 seconds. And I'm like, where are you? I said, go in the fridge, getting some more food. I'm like, my God, what it was like at that time was incredible. But here's the good news. The weather's only getting better into spring, buddy. So when we go to Capital City Country Club together, we just walk the 9. That's a good walk for the front 9 at Cap City.
Yeah, it's a test. It's a test. You like walking more than I like walking. I'm just saying. You're a big fan of the walking. His walking's all right. It's all right. I'm not saying I like my push cart. I like the push cart. I'm fine with that. But the clubs on the back, you like that. You like to hear, because you get nostalgic. You hear the jingling about in the clubs and all that good stuff. So
it creates a rhythm. It's like having a drummer just following. You're like, all right, now I can play lead guitar here.
I know. Anyhow, I just hope he embraces this. I just really hope that Lamont gets after it. I think skill set, we're excited. It's fun to watch the uptick in caliber of player that I think Florida State's going to be bringing in. And it will be fun. This one thing, we talk so much about the portal. I brought it up last hour, of course, because I was asked about it today on a show. And while we've really hit it hard and won the portal over, and we've really been able to plug and play a lot of guys, and I'm not ever going to be down on that, it is exciting to think about you just referenced it, another good season, a 10-win season, that you will start to see ready-made kids walk onto campus. And it changed a long time ago. There were always freaks and outliers. But when I first started covering Florida State, they would do that mile run. Freshmen would come in and everybody would get their times, their weight, their size. They would have these little conditioning tests. So most schools did that. I did that when I first went away. And you'd see what these scores were. And I remember in the very beginning when I was just starting, I think it was like 97 or 98. I was over there. And obviously Florida State was a juggernaut at that time. But you would see true freshmen come in. And, a few of them would look ready-made. A few of them would be guys that you're like, wow, who in the hell blocked that guy in high school? I feel sorry for, you'd look up what city they were from, and you're like, man, the poor bastards in Lake City having to block Timmy Jernigan, if we fast forward, right? But there weren't so many guys, like 4- and 5-star guys, that I suppose at that time were training year-round, sports-specific, hyper-focused, nutrition, understood the advancements in that technology, weightlifting, explosive movements, functional strength, what you put in your body. It's the advancements in that arena have changed so much. There are, when you are an elite program, when you're recruiting the guys that you see on the field for Georgia, we talk about that clay that you mold, that walk through the door at 252 of pure muscle and can run. And Florida State hasn't been able to get those guys just yet. That's the evolution of the recruiting process for this program outside of the portal success, is getting those kinds of guys that when you walk in, we talk about development. Yes, you got to develop players, but the caliber of player that walks through the door that can play some snaps, meaningful snaps in year one, greatly increases when the caliber of player is 5-star, upper 4-star on the regular out of high school.
Yeah, I'd say, and maybe this is jumping the gun again on a Thursday instead of solving for the future in its own dedicated segment. And if it is, you can stop me. But that's a subtext for this season that I think is critical. And while we're all going to focus on the championships that we're going for, conference first and then a playoff berth, and who knows after that, the other important thing to me is when watching spring camp and fall camp, that some of these homegrown high school kids actually start to show that they belong at Florida State and are developed. Because if you think about it, the vast majority of production, vast majority on offense or defense for this program the last couple of years has been transfer laden. Every position group littered with transfers. Mm-hmm. Well, how about the Rodney Hills, of the world, the Julian Armellas, Josh Farmer, all the defensive interior guys, Patrick Payton takes a leap, Omar Graham, A.Z. Thomas. What about these guys that are of the program, committed to Florida State out of high school? Can they start to take a significant chunk of the production away from what has just been almost all transfers? Because if you break down the last couple of seasons, there aren't many Pokey Wilsons out there that you could point to and say, well, this guy stuck it out and we saw him grow from an 18-year-old into his final year of eligibility. It's mostly dudes who weren't here at the outset.
Also, you've got to stop losing guys that are in your backyard that are 5-star players that have gone elsewhere to play football. We've lost kids to Clemson and Georgia. We lost linebackers, like perhaps one of the most talented one in the country right here in our own backyard. That's got to stop. Now, I think it will stop because I believe that winning solves your problems. And, again, people will say, well, how can you lose a kid that's in your own backyard? Recruiting kids in your own backyard is a unique challenge for a couple of reasons, but it's much more challenging when you suck. So we don't suck anymore. The door, they're going to answer the call. Somebody's going to pick up the phone now that you're calling and they see 850 like we talked about the other day. But a lot of times kids want out of their hometown. They want to leave where they grew up. They want to see something else, and you've got to overcome that as well. Florida State's got to do a better job of that. There's a lot of talent in Tallahassee. I always thought, especially when I first moved here way back in the early 90s, when I first came to school here, I was like, how can a little-ass Tallahassee have so many elite-level players and talented teams? Like Lincoln dominated when I first got here. It was unbelievable with Coach Wilson, and we all know the players that they had. But it wasn't just them. I mean, Godby's had some great teams, and Leon stinks now, but they didn't used to. And you go through and you look at this, it's amazing the amount of talent there is in Tallahassee. So I'll get excited. That's just me on a tirade. I'd like to see those kids stay home. And Florida State had to give them a reason to do so. And I think that's another part of what happened last year. They gave them a reason to do so with those wins.
Well, that's the thing is, I think we're rightfully, speaking honestly, based upon what I'm seeing, talking about specifically in the trenches, that this offensive line class from 2 cycles ago was legitimate, and it's going to help us. We talked about this past spring and this past fall camp, how I really love what's coming on with Daniel Lyons, Bishop Thomas, Ayo Tafasi, and now Antavius Woody moving from the offensive to the defensive line. Like, these
Tafasi,
are all
by the way, number 1 on that list for me, but go ahead.
That's all good stuff. That's all very important in the development of the program. But at some point, they need to actually earn a spot, and sometimes you're going to have to do it over a transfer too. And I'm not sure that you reach critical mass this year in terms of if those guys don't, crack the rotation because we brought in another large group of transfers. But that's going to have to take the place of this process. Otherwise, what are you bringing them in for? You might as well just go all transfers, because these are the higher level recruited guys. In 2 years, Lucas Simmons and Julian Armello should be together with Kanaya Charlton and Sapp in that rotation of the top 7 or top 8 in the offensive line.
Damn right, and they will.
They better be, but I'd like to start having those names come up as solutions. AZ Thomas should be a preseason All ACC pick, for a corner. Yeah, that you're allowed to have high school kids and tell their stories for 3 years. I'm
going to check mark this though, because I got to tell you, Tom, every kid you just named, I think will. I mean, you quite literally, maybe this was intentional. Everyone you named, I went, yeah, well, they're going to. Those are all real good players. And they've already shown enough in the way of growth early in their careers to suggest that's exactly where they're headed. There are some kids on this roster, I'm not going to name names right now, that we brought in a couple of years ago that I'm like, man, I'm not seeing it. I'm getting a little nervous. Like you get to a place where if you haven't seen it, you got to show me something. You can show me something in year 1, not something that makes me think you're going to start next year or that you should be jumping people on the depth chart. But you got to show me something in these practices that we're fortunate enough to get to attend. And there are a few guys that you're like, it's not going to work.
Well, I think that's why the loss of Malik McClain, while not critical to your season's, it's not the balance of the season that was just lost because Malik left. He was showing signs, and he was going to be one of those breakthrough stories. And it would have been nice to see it come to maturity in the same place that he committed. But you know what? Kentron could be a guy like that. And Hakeem Williams is certainly going to have a very good chance to be one of those players for us straight out of high school as well.
I think Kentron is the same player.
They're close.
He's pretty much the same player.
I think Malik has a little bit more explosiveness to him, but Kentron is, yeah,
not much. I think they're the same guy. And I'm not trying to offend either one of them. I like both kids. I just think they're the same. Like if I'm just evaluating receivers, I'm like, pretty much the same receiver. So he should greatly benefit. Kentron should really benefit by Malik leaving, and we wish Malik well. I don't often say that about everybody that leaves the program, but Tom, I saw your question on here. I'll get to it in a minute. I like the question. It's always fun to talk about personnel, especially when you have a lot of options. And we haven't had a lot of options for pass rush situations, obvious runs, those kinds of things. You kind of knew, well, these 3 dudes have got to be on the field because we don't have anybody else that's going to get the job done. That has changed. That has shifted. That is also an area where obviously the transfer portal helped you yet again. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tish, here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, no, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods, but the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it, and join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers Advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers Advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Patio and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 1,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. We've all heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed.
Collaborate with my friends from ISF. Best in the business. We all know you want to do amazing things. You work for state government and you've got big goals and visions. You work hard trying to get your agency to move forward. You have unique challenges in state government. And look, you got to call ISF to help out. It is their expertise that's going to help you with your vision. And it is an IT strategy firm, and they've been serving clients over 1,500 projects, well over, 80, 90 clients, something like that, for over 40 years. Crazy. And they evaluate and refine your process, and they collaborate in order to help you. So we were asked before the break about the defensive line. Tom asked this question, and he wanted to know, obviously the obvious run, short yardage situations, as well as the pass rush. And Tom and I have been talking a lot about this today. It's a fun topic. It's a good off-season topic. And I'll answer it in a second. But Tom, I'm going to bring you in right now, because before we do so, we have another solving for the future aspect. Somebody emailed me in show that was listening to whether or not you plan future scheduling beyond the years of 90. In show, buddy.
Wow. Okay. And have they stated their age for the record?
They have, and they're not 90.
Okay.
But I don't think he's going to mind me saying his name, not his full name, but his name and age, because he was quick to respond at 1:30 today listening to the segment. So credit to you, Michael, who emailed me. Michael writes, this 76-year-old is still excited about the future schedules. I had a guy once tell me, Jeff, there are 3 phases to retirement: the go-go phase, the slow-go phase, and the no-go phase. He writes, I'll be 77 this July. I'm looking at future schedules and planning my trips right now. That makes me still in the go-go phase. I'm loving it, and I'm not looking back. Mike in Tallahassee. Thank you, Mike. I sounded like Casey Kasem for a second. That was fantastic. I appreciate you. If I had a dedicated song to play for you in this moment, I would. We'd all sit back and smile and hope to be Mike in future years as we plan our trips surrounding Florida State football.
Would you pick a song by the Go-Go's? Because that's the low-hanging fruit right there.
Well, Casey Kasem would, but I would not.
Yeah. Okay. I figured. I'm going to use that, though. You should use it for your parents. I'm going to use it for my parents. The go-go, slow-go, and no-go phase. I think they could all speak to that. Right now, I got all my folks and my aunts and uncles that are close. They're all in the go-go phase. But I could see the slow-go phase coming here soon. I just hope that's not too soon.
Yeah, Mike serves as inspiration and is excited and is planning trips right now. And I really appreciate the email, Mike. Thank you very much. That is cool. I just checked it during the break. Thought, I wonder if anybody did. And he was right there atop the list. We'll check for others. But my dad is still in the go-go phase, and he'll be here this weekend. Pop's rolling into town. Got to do a little Christmas celebration with him. It never ends. These celebrations with the extended family that live all over the world. And so he's coming to town. We're going to do that. But he's always planning. He called me 2 weeks ago and said, all right, when that schedule comes out, which are the ones that you want to go to? What are we looking at? Which ones do you want to go to that you're going to cover as a media member? And which one are you going to go to with me as my son and FSU fan and have a good time at? And I can't get him. Like, he won't go anymore down to Miami. He won't go to Florida. He won't do it anymore. I think he's reached an age where it's just too much for him to deal with that, I tell him, no, man, you got to embrace that, but he won't do it.
You've got to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of your Pittsburgh trip because we play at Pitt this year.
Yeah. And what a cool anniversary. I was with my father, obviously, and we went there, and I wore a very, very old vintage Florida State shirt. And, from whom, and got rained on and then watched almost a near perfect performance on the 50-yard line surrounded by Pitt fans who were like, who the hell is this kid?
Yeah, that shirt was from the most beloved 90-plus-year-old listener in show history. That wasn't related to you or me. Like that I think that's easily Earl's championship that is going to stand for some time.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny because Earl would raise a glass with you post 90 and love it, and then have a second and laugh with you and talk intelligently, insightfully about any number of things. 95, or maybe 5 drinks. Is that what you were saying?
Yes,
maybe,
that's what I was saying.
Maybe he would. Still have the shirt, Tom. Still have the shirt. Not getting rid of it. He gave me a second one too years later. All right, so wanted to do that. Now back to this question that Tom asked, and I thought it was a fun one. And he asked, Jeff and Tom, who do you think we see on 3rd and long, 3rd and 4th and short on the defensive line? And he writes, so many options. Well, that is the key to this whole thing as we solve for the future. And we're doing so with Florida State's defensive line. And I think you nailed it. We can go a lot of different directions here. But the fact that you have options, and I would just look at them as speed and beef. So beef for short yardage, options, several. Speed for, obvious passing downs, you've got some. You don't have enough. That's where we see a shortage off the edge, rushing the passer. Not enough options there. I mean, we all know Verse is going to be on the field. And, I think it's you pretty much your standard of what we saw last year. But on the inside, man, the ability, I would slide Briggs inside. I would obviously have Fabo out there and Fisk. I mean, these are huge dudes.
Yeah, so I would say on passing downs, if it's pass obvious third down, I want Briggs in the interior. I want his ability to be quick, to be to our benefit. But I don't know who the next guy would be, and that's interesting because we have a holdover in Fabian Lovett, but I don't know that he's necessarily the guy that you want out there on 3rd and 10 because maybe it is Fisk. Like, that's the thing here. You've got another piece to the puzzle that you don't know a whole ton about and how he's going to play, not at Western Michigan, but against Power 5 offensive linemen. And the great thing about where we are as a program right now is when he goes into this camp, this spring camp and fall camp, you're going to see, reliably speaking, what he will look like against a Power 5 offensive lineman because we finally have them. And it's been forever since we've had them. And you never knew what the hell a defensive lineman was actually capable of against an offensive line because we never had a good one of them. So I look forward to figuring out where he fits. But I think Fisk is the big question mark here about, is he a specialist? Is he a 3-down type player?
Well, the beauty also, to add to your enthusiasm and excitement based around both quality of talent up front and also depth, is the competitive reps they're going to get in practice coupled with the rest they're going to get in the games.
Yeah.
You will now see a much more explosive version of all of our defensive linemen. The interior big guys especially. If they've got it to collapse the pocket, they can because they're not going to be exhausted for having to play too many reps. You can come out and we can replace you with a quality defensive lineman. The best teams do exactly that. Guys always look like they're going 100 miles per hour and they jump off the TV if you're watching a game at home and you're like, why is it their defensive lineman? Well, because that dude's not having to play 65 snaps. He's not. He's in there because he's being asked to play 35 snaps at 100 miles per hour because the next guy's going to do the same and the next guy's going to do the same. So if we have an 85 snap game, a 90 snap game, 3 guys can rotate and they can go balls to the wall because they're going to get taken out for the next series. They don't have to be back out there. And so I just think you're going to see a much better version of Fabian Lovett, who gets hurt in the first freaking game and then has to worry about that injury all year long. He misses a ton of games, but he also wasn't a guy that when he came back, we could afford to have off the field all that much. You know, he had to be out there, and he wasn't, I don't think, any longer in the kind of shape he was coming out of camp because he missed all that time with the injury. I just think you're going to see a much better version. It's a payday version of Fabian Lovett that you got to see. He'll be made better by the fact that he won't have to play so many reps. I would argue that some of the veteran players that you already know what you have in, you know, some of these games that you're playing against the North Alabamas of the world, I mean, how much Fabian Lovett do you need to see? How much, how much of any of the veteran big guys do you need to see against Southern Miss? You know what I mean?
You've already burned the shirt for 3 really good interior defensive linemen. And, one was an academic red shirt for Tafasi, but you get those guys in there and get them the experience. You don't have to worry about counting against the 4 anymore. And there is so much to parse through. I want to be clear real quick on Fabian. If it's 3rd and medium, I want him out there. But if it's 3rd and 12, I don't know if he's the best option. He might be if he could play at 100 miles an hour. The other thing I'd say about the relationship of defensive interior when you've got multiple guys there is if Robert Cooper was at 100%, then Fabian Lovett would look better for it because these things all work in tandem. They all work in tandem. And the fun part is, I think when we get to a 3rd and long situation, you're going to have to pick your poison because a healthy Jared Verse, a healthy Lovett, Fisk, maybe Darrell Jackson gets involved here, Patrick Payton. I mean, it's just like, which guy do you double? Because you can't leave in more than maybe one extra player to block in that situation. So somebody's going to come free. But let's say Fisk is 100% healthy for the bulk of the season, and so is Fabian. That in turn just makes the other guy better because, Robert Cooper, I think, was playing on one busted wing. Which, I mean, that severely hampers the way that they can scheme up to stop you.
Yeah, Big Coop was hurt all year, guys. We couldn't talk about it as much as we wanted to. He really couldn't either, but he was playing with one wing. It was obvious that he was out there just giving it a go. And he's such a big guy that sometimes you get away with it. But against the better teams and the better offensive lines, he proved to be ineffective because against those offensive lines, he got moved around rather easily because he was playing with one arm. I mean, I think that was obvious. And so I hope obviously we get a guy in there that's healthy, and we don't have to rely on people who aren't. That's the depth thing that we keep going on and on about. By the way, in obvious pass situations, as we were going back over this, it's Patrick Payton off the one side versus off the other side. And then in the interior, you're going to have fun with Lovett in there and Fisk in there and probably, but Briggs could slide inside, like you said, as well.
Well, you could even, Verse is large enough to go fight in the inside and third and obvious if you wanted to get McClendon out there, or, if you wanted to get just another pass rusher. That happened with DeMarcus Walker in his career, and it proved to be a great part of his production value. I think it increased his draft stock, that anytime he went against a guard on third and obvious, he made him look foolish. So even if it is one of your stud players, and in that case, DeMarcus Walker was by far your best pass rusher in 2016, you can still move that player around. And Adam Fuller has proven to do that a couple of years ago. Better examples because they were more productive examples, but he would line up Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas next to each other. So this is a coach who has proven in his scheme that even though guys are considered rush ends and they term it whatever you want, Buck and Fox and all that kind of stuff, he will line them up together to game up some opportunities to free one of those guys up to make a splash play in the backfield. So it gets fun there. The harder part and the tougher question to answer is in third and run, what's your 4? Because Jared Verse needs to be tough in order to hold up and be an absolute guy out there on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. You like what you have in the defensive interior, but then is your 4th guy Dennis Briggs on the edge? Is it going to be this Edmond kid, or does Fisk, can he line up out there and then you bring Jackson out? That's going to be a tougher one to solve.
I'm going to have an old man moment as we finish up with ISF Solving the Future segment, and that is that we can do away with all these stupid names for positions. Let's stop the nonsense. You're a linebacker, you're a defensive end, you're a defensive tackle, you're a safety, free safety or strong safety. If you'd like to want to add that in there, fine, you can do that. We're done here. That's the end of it. Middle linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end, nose tackle, defensive tackle, safety, cornerback. That's all you are. You can run around, move all around. You can call yourselves, I don't care if you call yourselves freaking lizards. Stop doing it. You're a middle linebacker. That's the mic. You're an outside linebacker. You're a defensive end. You're a free safety or strong safety. You're a nose tackle or a defensive. That's it. That's all there is. There is nothing else. Stop calling them things that they're not.
I think I'd like defensive interior players to be Marios and then edge players to be Luigi's. Can we do that? No,
I'm tired of it. It's stupid. And it gets worse every year. I hear a new name for an old position every year. I'm like, what? He's a submarine. What does that even mean? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous.
Coach, why do we have 2 Marios? Can I be a Bowser? That's King Koopa. Can I be a Bowser? He could be the Mario. He could be the Waluigi. There's the Luigi. We got some Koopa Troopas behind us.
This reminds me of you're Mr. Pink.
Yeah.
Your name is Pink. That's it. Any other questions? Why do I have to be Mr. Because you are. The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
The Perry Police Department is warning the community about a phone scam, where the scammers are calling and impersonating Perry police officers. Even the phone number shows up on caller ID as if it's coming from the department. The scammers call to inform people that they have missed a subpoena or did not show up for a court date, threatening immediate arrest for non-compliance. The scammers will ask for your address or other identifying information. The scammers may also leave a voice message and a phone number advising to call back, and will also attempt to convince you to purchase gift cards as payment. The police department encourages anyone that receives this type of a phone call to hang up immediately. A suspect is hospitalized after an officer-involved shooting that occurred at a Chipley Walmart on Wednesday. According to a Facebook post with Washington County Sheriff's Office, the suspect was transported to a local hospital and a heavy presence of law enforcement was on scene and safe. This is a developing story. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Daytime highs approaching 78. Winds out of the southwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows level off around 50. Mainly sunny skies and calm tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 69. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. for all your landscaping and lawn care needs. Visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 81.
See Nice Tire and Auto Service at 4792 Bluntstown Highway today. The ASC trained technicians at Nice take the guesswork out of fixing your car. That's why wherever you see the Goodyear sign, you'll find what you want in tires and service. From preventative maintenance to a major overhaul and everything in between, you name it. Plus, Nice's services are backed by a nationwide limited warranty. Stop by Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg.
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.
Partners at ISF. We got to make our way over to the tub. Still time yet. Because music going on. I know you guys think it's going on. An octopus. Let's do some tub talk. Here we go.
It's time for Tub Talk, brought to you by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Buy yourself the hot tub you've always wanted at the price you've always wanted from Pinch a Penny on Greer Street. Now it's live to the tub.
I don't know if you know this, Tom, but our friends at Pinch a Penny have invited us over there to hang out in the tub. Yeah, they have. The campaign is going so smoothly. They have said, let's roll on over here and start looking at some tubs. Now, I don't know if that means that we're going to get to pick out hot tubs.
Yeah, do they just want us to be in the showroom sitting in the tubs and greet people?
I could do that for the right price. You going to put me in a tub? Hey, I'm hanging out in the tub. How is everybody?
Now, if they're going to say pick one, where do I sign? And when do we go?
You'd fly home tonight. If they told you that you get a free hot tub if you could be there tonight, you'd be on a plane tonight.
I think I would, yeah.
Well, yeah, hell yes, you would. That's crazy if you wouldn't. I'd fly you home. What are we doing? Let's go. Let's go get a tub.
That would be a net gain, I do believe. Yes.
Yeah.
Even with an expensive flight from LaGuardia or JFK or Newark. Yeah.
No, you got to do it, buddy. That'd be outstanding. So anyhow, go over to the showroom there at Pinch a Penny and check out 50 different tubs. They got your family tubs, your singular tubs, the whole deal. I do want to go over there and look at the tubs. Thinking about getting one. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
You've got the space.
I do. And I think it's just, I know right where it would go. I know right. One side over there, the one deck over there, Tom, is the one where I have the grill, the pit master, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side, I've got room for the tub. If I don't add on. So that's what we're looking at here. I'm excited about it. The Tub Talk would be this, all right? I hinted at it earlier, but the cool thing about the matchups this weekend, the more I feel like, okay, if we're picking a team that we think for elimination pools, getting back to this, just a team, if you're in an elimination pool, the team to pick this weekend is fairly obvious. You're going to take Kansas City. I think you can argue right now that Kansas City is the best team in either conference, playing the best at the right time with the most amount of weapons.
Yeah.
So Kansas City to me is the best team right now. I have question marks about other elements of the team. Like, for example, let's just say you think the Giants are on one hell of a roll and they're going to pull an upset and knock off Philadelphia. Now, it wasn't long ago that you saw the Giants play the Eagles. In fact, it was week 14, Tom, and they lost 48-22. Is Danny Dimes just looking good in the flavor of the month right now because the Vikings defense is that bad? Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think that the Giants are well coached, and I think he got better. But yes, I also think that the Vikings defense helped him look exceptionally prepared and maybe more than he really will look now that he's facing them a much better defense. The 49ers dominated Dallas up front. The offensive line, the Cowboys are better this year. I'm talking about the last time they faced each other. Dallas could be in that game, and I know that I saw it on your face. You kind of think they will be because I think Dallas might be able to run the ball, and if they do, that game could be interesting.
Yeah, two things can be true. They sound the opposite. I think the country is overvaluing Dallas for what they did to Tampa.
Sure.
But I do think that given San Francisco's quarterback issues and the fact that Dallas is pretty good on both sides of the trenches, I mean, if this game's a race to 21 or 24, Dallas is absolutely going to be in that football game.
Yeah. Why am I bringing these teams up and their weaknesses? I'm not going to their strengths. I'm namely pointing out their weaknesses. It is just to argue that all of the teams seem to have an issue, something that can be exploited, something that has you concerned. For example, Dallas, well, can we just start with the kicker? Brett Maher is a problem. Have you ever seen anything like that? I don't remember anybody missing that many extra points ever. That was extraordinary. I kind of giggled. I hate to see it. It is weird to watch people fall apart right in front of you, but it happened. Now, I know they brought on another kicker, but they're going to San Francisco with that guy as their kicker. Stand-up job by the players, by the way, when asked to talk about him, to do the right thing. They did a good job. That's what teammates should do.
They did better than you would, right?
If I were his teammate, I probably wouldn't publicly rip him. I might say something to him on the field, but I'm not going to publicly rip him if he's a decent guy. But so Dallas has that concern. I don't think Cincinnati runs the ball as well as they did a year ago, and Joe Burrow bails them out because they've got elite receivers, and he's really, really good and pre-snaps as well as anybody. But we'll see. I mean, I think they're going to have a hard time winning that game. Meanwhile, if I were going to criticize the Bills, there's no doubt you would be you'd be blind not to point out that they're not the same team since Von Miller has been absent, and he's a guy that helped them immensely. We'll see if they get a pass rush with 4 down rushers. Miami missed some open throws because they were on their third string quarterback, and he had some time. Buffalo needs to get back to, I think now that we're down to the nitty gritty of the playoffs where we are, Josh Allen's got to become a runner again. They're so much more effective when he runs.
Yeah.
So we can do this with every team. It's fun.
We did the exercise based upon what teams we think would advance before in the show. To me, I don't think there's any question that it's Kansas City and then Buffalo. It's not like that's a big surprise. It's how we felt before the season started. But those are the two best teams. Cincinnati's flaw, it's still getting Joe Burrow hit way, way, way too often. So that's their fatal flaw. The team closest to flawless is Kansas City. The next closest is Buffalo. And then there's a gulf between 2 and 3. Even with as good as Burrow is, I think there's still a gulf between those two and the third team.
But Cincinnati would be third on the list, in my opinion, and then it would it would get interesting. Although I guess you could argue between Cincinnati and San Francisco if we include both leagues. I mean, it's close. I just admire Shanahan. He finds ways to win with, as I described it earlier, bums at quarterback. He plays great defense all the time. It's almost like his quarterbacks are his offense is quarterback proof in the way that you think about, like, hey, you're going to succeed. Regardless if you think you can. I am going to set it up so that you succeed. You're going to make plays whether you want to or not, kid. I've got you set up here. The way I design this offense, the way we run the ball, you're going to have success. It's really cool to watch, and coaching matters. So it's hard to pick against San Francisco right now on that side of the ledger.
No, it's just like New England with if you're a defensive player, you're going to succeed. The country won't know who you are. Most years, the country can't name 3 starters on the New England Patriots 11, or maybe the other top 15, and yet here they are again, and they're giving up 17 to 25 points a game, which in this era of the NFL is incredible. But for offense, it's much harder to do. For quarterback, it's a lot harder to do, and that's what makes Shanahan just kind of spooky.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So Tom and I's pick, if you have to survive the weekend, is Kansas City. No brainer. They're playing Jacksonville. But Butts fans, I came to your rescue last week, told you I was taking the Jags on the money line. I cursed their name in the first half. I celebrated their existence in the second half, and I'm here to tell you I'm rooting for you this weekend. It'd be fun to see.
Last thing in the less than a minute that we have.
We'll get yelled at, yeah.
Would you be shocked by any result? Would Jacksonville winning shock you? And if so, would any other, or is that it with Jacksonville?
That's it with Jacksonville. That would be the one. And I don't know that I'd say I'd be shocked. I would be fairly stunned. Goodbye, T. Lizzie. Goodbye, Director Matthew. Thank you, everybody. Be well. Have a great rest of your day on into the evening. We will talk tomorrow.